Okay guys, so I finally figured out how to make an object move toward a marker. So when you click right here, the object will point in this direction and then move toward it. So let me show you what it looks like. Bam. And let me turn off this particle system so my computer doesn't explode trying to load all this. And here's the script. Let me show you. Now in the last episode, this is pretty much copy pasta right here. From the last episode, I made a video on how to make that little particle system that follows your mouse. Except in this case, it's going to be if you left click or whatever. So once you click down, if input.getMouse down is 0, which means if you clicked, then you're going to do this. And it's basically the same script as in the last episode, and it just says, it's just going to say this is where the mouse is. And then you're going to instantiate a marker, and in this case, let me show you what my marker is. So, if you don't already know this, let's go through this real quick, I guess. I imported an image. You right click, import new asset, and then you find your image. And in this case, I have no clue where I saved it, so I'm not going to look for it. And then you drag that into your project like that, and I'd put the order higher up so you can actually see it. I have a background right now, and so that's good. And then to make it a prefab, you take the marker and you drag it down here, and then it'll turn it into a prefab. So it'll be down here and it looks good, everything's right. And I have an animator. I went window, animation, while it was still in the hierarchy over here. You click on it, and it went from the first frame, it's at 50, 50, and then in the last frame I turned it to 0, 0, so it shrinks basically. Marker equals instantiate, so you're instantiating the prefab you already created. And PS, here are all the things you're gonna want. You're gonna want a prefab, a marker prefab, and then a marker, which is gonna be the copy. This is gonna be, it's gonna make a copy of the prefab. Mouse position, the direction, and the character, which is the script's gonna be on this. So I mean, you don't really have to call it a character, but. And a speed. How fast do you want the object to move toward your cursor or your marker? So you instantiate, and what object are you instantiating? You're instantiating the prefab, and you want to instantiate it at the mouse position. And quaternion to identity, so the rotation is going to be the same as it is already. Whatever the prefab rotation is, that's what it'll be. And you write as game object because it makes you basically marker.transform.setParent. Since there's not like a way, okay, there's a way to set the parent while you instantiate it, but in this case it was just easier for me to write it in as a separate line right here. And so the direction, what direction do we want to be facing? We want to be facing the difference between the mouse position and the character position on the X, and then the difference between the Y's. So that's pretty straightforward. And then we want the up position, the up direction, to be pointed toward whatever direction that is. And this got a little complicated, so because we wanted to use this line right here. Character.transform.position, if it doesn't equal the mouse position, if our character isn't where we just clicked, then we want it to move. But at the very beginning, there is no mouse position. So I just went ahead and made a click variable, or it's a bool, click bool, and we set it to false in the beginning. So if we've never clicked, then of course it's not going to be at the marker. It's not going to be at the mouse position. So if we've already clicked, and we set that true after we click the first time, so it should be true every time after the start. And then we move, and the move is just character.transform.position. Now make sure this is vector 3. This screwed me up. Took me forever to figure out. I just figured it out before I started recording. It's vector 3, and I honestly don't know why. I tried vector 2 so many times. I kept doing vector 2, and I thought there was a problem with the way it was written, but it's got to be vector 3. Vector 3 move towards, and it's a 2D game, so I just figured it'd be vector 2. But anyway, move towards character.transform.position, and we're gonna move the character to the mouse position, and we'll do speed times time.delta time. So we're gonna move at a speed of 5. And that's about all for that script. And then we also made a marker script, and we're going to put this on the prefab. So on the prefab, after we click, the object is going to stay there for a second, and then it's going to destroy itself. So, and by the way, I made these public, and I just drag the character and drag the marker prefab into the marker prefab and marker into the marker section. Since this is basically nothing right now, it doesn't matter that it's a prefab. And then when you click, it turns into the actual object. And as you can see here, so we have a marker clone for a second there, and then bam, it's gone. It's gone after that 1 second. And so this helps. It looks a lot better because you're gonna have more than one. You can have more than one marker at the same time. If you don't destroy it, or if you try to enable and disable the same object, it's gonna look like garbage. So so it's like this. It looks so much better because I think I can have like up to 5 or so. Instead of just having that one enabled and disabled all the time. But that's about all. Click that like button, know what I'm saying? I think that's about all. If you have any questions, write them in the comments section. I'm not a genius. It took me forever to figure out that vector 3 thing. Really ticked me off. Because if you don't do vector 3, for some reason it'll move this character about -80 in the z-axis, and it's invisible. Cannot see it. So it really bugged me, but that's about all.